Welcome back. I'm Regina Montgomery, and according to 2012 Statistics Canada, over 250,000 women are self-employed in Canada. That's an increase of 10 years ago when only about 790,000 women were self-employed. On this edition of the Chamber Matters, we've been speaking with some influential women in our community, and they've been sharing with us their stories of success and some of their challenges. My next guest is someone who has seen many changes in the business community. She's worked in a family-run business. She was a former president of the Chamber of Commerce, and now she's embarking on a new venture with her sister. And I'd like to welcome Jill Sproule to the show. Thank you very much for speaking with us today.
Well, thanks, Regina, for having us.
And let's talk about, we were talking earlier about many businesses, and we had alluded to this really, and how I know Sylvia had mentioned there's a lot of unique businesses that are starting, and yours is very unique.
It is.
Sproules Emporium, and it's a free trade type store. So let's talk about that. Why free trade, and how did it get started?
Well, actually, I've often said it was free trade as well at the beginning, but actually it's fair trade.
Oh, fair trade, sorry. Fair trade. That was a political thing.
It is, but I mean, and you know, we start looking at it, and that's what I kept saying, and I was kept getting corrected as well. So we've gone into fair trade, and so it's a business that my sister and brother-in-law and the rest of the family have all sort of embarked on, looking at finding products from around the world and being able to support communities, you know, people who are struggling and trying to get their feet on the ground. These women that are out there, predominantly it is women that are doing the products and making the products, but again, looking at how to keep them sustainable and getting them on their feet so that they can support their families. So.
Yeah, and it's very interesting because when you go into the store, there's different items, and when you pick up each of the items, they have stories, and they're from different parts of the world. I think that's what's really unique, aside from the products, but just going in and reading those stories and learning about women around the world. Yeah. And like you said, I mean, if in Canada women are very important to the economic landscape of business, I can only imagine what it would be like in other countries.
Oh, absolutely, because again, you know, in countries like Africa, where you know you've got people dying of AIDS all the time, these are the women that are there that are helping to keep the families going, you know, or just even in the Philippines or in anywhere that we've got products from. The stories are just quite incredible.
Now, this store is in the same location as the family-run business that had sat there. How many years was that?
Well, there's been a pharmacy in that building at 153 Broadway for well over 100 years.
Wow.
So prior to my dad and our dad buying it in 1973, Albert and Vera Dunn owned it, and they in turn purchased it from, I think it was the Hamiltons. And so there's been a pharmacy on that store. And to this day, we still have lots of people that come in either looking to get a prescription filled or looking to find, you know, some sort of cough medicine on the shelves and things like that. So it's great that we're able to be there, and then we can tell people, you know, where else they can go to find what they're looking for and things. So.
And the history.
And the history is incredible, you know, and we've, you know, and even for ourselves as we were doing renovations through the course of the renovations of the building, just the things that we discovered, you know, like the old wallpaper on the walls, you know, the wood floor that we uncovered while we were doing the renovations, because again, between Mr. Dunn and my dad, they'd had carpet on the floor, but there's actually a beautiful wood floor underneath everything, you know, so it's just been a real learning experience for all of us as we've developed the business.
Talk about family-run business. I mean, the pharmacy with your dad, and now your sister with this. What are some of the challenges of family-run businesses?
Well, when you're working for your dad, he's the one that's going to get you in when you don't want to have to necessarily be there, or he can yell at you when as other employers can't. And then again, it's just sort of finding that balance, you know, because everybody's got ideas. You know, Trish is a lawyer, and so she's got strong opinions and strong leadership skills in her set. And my history in hospitality had given us, you know, so again, it's just trying to find, you know, that balance as to, you know, what's the best direction to go in and things like that. So there's always, it's balance. It really is balance, and just sort of, you know, what at the time is the most important, and whose idea is going to be the best one to follow at that point. And then you do it, and then you sort of, it's finding compromise. It's no different than a marriage. It's compromise, you know, and finding that balance and things. So yeah. That's exactly
now, did you do research to figure out this is what Orangeville needed for this store?
Well, we, with my sister and brother-in-law, we talked about it, and we really tried to give some good thought as to what would be a good complement to the town, to Broadway. You know, because again, there's only so many gift stores that people need, but it's proven, at least thus far. I mean, we're very early days yet. I mean, you know, it's only 2 months old, but it seems to be a good complement to the rest of the street, to the rest of the stores on Broadway. So we're very happy, very excited about it.
Now, speaking of the hospitality sector, we have a clip now from Best Western. Stacey Copeland is another influential woman in our community. Let's take a look at that.
Well, at my first job, I stayed at that hotel for 23 years, and the reason I did that, which is very unusual in the hotel business, is because I did not want to be a part-time mother. I wanted to be there for my children. So staying in the same place close to home allowed me the stability to be a good mom and to be able to run a very large, busy hotel. Fortunately, I had a super backup from my spouse, which I'm very appreciative of because I couldn't have done it without him. When I started out, it was very difficult. I was definitely a woman working in a man's world, and I would go to functions when I first became a female GM. I think there was 2 of us at that time in some 60-odd hotels in Toronto. And there was always a coolness when we were around. But I was determined to overcome that, which I did, and I ended up having many of those gentlemen as my friends and mentors, and are still that to this day. And I thought I had sort of gotten over that until I came to Orangeville and started building this hotel. And once again, I was back into a 20-to-1 situation, 20 men to 1 woman. And I was a little over my head when we started the building. I had to learn a lot. I didn't know what core slab was. But I knew that if I asked enough questions and I kept on top of things, I could get through this project. At the time, the trades were not hungry, and it was very difficult because their work ethic was really not what it should have been, which delayed the opening of the hotel by 6 months. But we got it done, and in the end, after a lot of trials and tribulations, this is what we ended up with, and we're very proud of it. So we do like pleasantly surprising our customers. They come in, they get a very warm and inviting welcome. We are very customer service and excellence driven here. We have a policy in this hotel with our employees. If you see it, you own it. So that's how we keep the place with people after 6 years staying, oh, you're brand new. Our employees, they know that if they see something wrong anywhere in the hotel, it doesn't matter if it's part of their job or not, that they always bring it to management's attention, or they take care of it themselves. They're not expected to take care of it themselves, but they are expected to make sure that it's dealt with. It's a team effort. It's the only way it can be with a small business, and fortunately we have a really great team here. Our spa, I think, is one of the best little spas around. It is small, but we have amazing estheticians. We did it just to add that extra little something for our customers. So for both our in-house guests and local people, if you come in and have a treatment in our spa, you can also use our pool and our fitness room prior to your treatment. We try to keep it very personal, and again, it's very small and it's very lovely. We are an all-suite property, so all of our rooms have kitchenettes, sitting areas, large flat-screen TVs. The vanity area is separate from the shower area, so 2 people can be getting ready at the same time. Our 5th floor rooms are a little bit more upgraded, and they have electric fireplaces. And then we have in our jacuzzi suites, we have walkouts, so you can go and sit out on the patio directly from your room. We have the jacuzzis, and we have gas fireplaces in those rooms. I think it's a win-win situation. I can help the people in the chamber by maybe giving them some advice on some of the things I've done, and on the other hand, they have brought business to us. So we all have to help each other in business. It needs to be business to business, which is what the chamber is all about. I've met some wonderful women through the Dufferin Women in Business. I was honored with the Businesswoman of the Year award a couple of years ago, and so that certainly helped people to realize that the hotel was here, which amazingly enough, a lot of people don't know that. But it's definitely a win-win, and I really think that anybody who wants to be successful in business in this area needs to be part of it. Getting up in the morning and feeling good and getting to work, and I have so much joy in my life. I have a wonderful family, I have a wonderful job, I have great people who work for me, I have great people who I work for. I know so many lovely people in the community. There's just a lot of things to be joyful for.
It's interesting what Stacey was saying there about a woman in a man's world, especially in her industry. But I think you can sort of relate to that. I mean, as a chamber president back in late 90s, that must have been tough. And sort of how did you get into that? And then what were some of the challenges or some of the successes about being a woman president?
Well, it was one of the things, I got into it through Trish, and it was important at the time I was working at the Millcroft, and so it was important for us in the community to be involved within the community, and that was a good opportunity for me to get back involved with the Orangeville site, so Trish was gracious and introduced me to that, so that was perfect. And then it just sort of became that at that time people were struggling trying to get volunteers to take on some of these more executive positions because they do take up time and it is a time commitment. Anyway, it just sort of evolved that I became the first vice president, and then the individual that was the president at the time unfortunately had to step down, and so it stepped into that role. And so yeah, it was challenging because again, you've got lots of people who are used to having men who've always had previously been the chair. Trish had been president earlier in the 90s, but then you had a series of men, and then all of a sudden it's a woman again. But the guys the gentlemen that were on the table were all very receptive. They had in their own working lives were starting to get used to having women as colleagues, and in some situations as their immediate supervisors or boss, direct reports. And so they got used to having us around. So.
Well, great story and great idea, and good luck with your new business. Women in business are the driving force behind small business in Canada. Many leave traditional jobs and create their own destinies to support their families and, of course, to follow their dreams. I would like to thank all of my guests for joining us today and thank Rogers TV for this opportunity for the Chamber to talk about and showcase some of the fabulous members that we have. Be sure to join us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter. For more information about events and networking, be sure to visit our website. Until next time, I'm Regina Montgomery, helping you connect to the business community. And then we just look back and see.